Tres, dos, uno. The socialist dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, is counting his days and singing for mercy.
La 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 la. Don't worry, be happy. La 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 la. Just peace, not war.
Mad Dog Maduro is trying to get off Trump's naughty list because he's looking at a lot more than coal this Christmas. Yesterday, a highly trained team of 10 Marines and 10 Coast Guardsmen seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. Footage shows a chopper approaching the vessel, with American forces rappelling down onto the deck, weapons drawn, detaining the captain. We set another record.
From the standpoint of news, as you probably know, we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, large tanker, very large.
The skipper's out of commish, but we kept the oil, and we didn't even have to drill, baby, drill.
The vessel will go to a U.S. port, and the United States does intend to seize the oil. However, there is a legal process for the seizure of that oil, and that legal process will be followed.
Maduro is fuming, the dictator vowing to break America's teeth. Ouch. This is all a part of his no good, very bad day. The seizure came just hours after we smuggled the Venezuelan opposition leader out of the country. Maria Machado won the last election, but Maduro wouldn't leave. So she was the one who won the Nobel Peace Prize. Sources say the CIA smuggled her out in a wig, passing through 10 military checkpoints, then rode a wooden boat onto the Caribbean island of Curacao, then boarding a plane to Norway, where she picked up the prize. Maduro feels the noose tightening.
No more Afghanistan. No more Libya. Basta de guerras eternas, carajo.
The dictator's assessing his options. He can flee with amnesty to the Middle East, but if he wants to eat pork, Belarus, Putin's client state, says he can retire there. Putin actually called Caracas to check in on their Latin American strongman. Is Vlad trying to give Maduro an off-ramp to curry favor with the Trump administration during the Ukraine negotiation? Or is he making his proxy into a porcupine to draw American blood? Not sure. But seizing ghost tankers isn't just about Maduro. We're asserting dominance over the Western Hemisphere and checking Chinese and Russian intrusion. We're also flexing in the Pacific theater. Russia and China just conducted joint military drills together. That's never something you want to see. So US B-52 bombers were flying in formation alongside Japanese fighter jets this week over the Sea of Japan. Now, if there's a war in the Pacific, we'll need oil tankers, and lots of them, which is why we're keeping the skipper and potentially others.
Welcome back, guys. This Just Waiters segment really shows how fast things are heating up between the United States and Venezuela. And honestly, it's the kind of situation where every new piece of information raises the stakes a little more. Right from the start, the tone is serious. The US has taken a hard position against Nicolas Maduro's regime for years. But this time it feels like the confrontation is not just political, it's military, economic, and strategic all at once. The biggest spark in this story is the US seizing an oil tanker called the Skipper of the coast of Venezuela. And this wasn't just any tanker. According to the segment, this ship had already been sanctioned in the past because of its connections to Iran and Hezbollah. That alone is enough to draw major attention, but what made it even more alarming was the claim that it had electronic warfare technology on board. When you hear something like that, it becomes more than an oil smuggling operation. It starts sounding like an organized, foreign-backed network trying to dodge sanctions and challenge US authority at sea. The US says they are not just stopping the ship, but also seizing the cargo, basically cutting off the money flow that keeps Maduro's circle alive. And you could see why Maduro reacted the way he did. He came out ragging, threatening to break America's teeth. That's not just anger. That's a direct challenge and it shows how concerned he probably feels. Leaders under pressure don't usually sound calm or strategic. They lash out, and that's exactly what happened here. The segment also pointed out something that a lot of people outside Venezuela may not know much about: the story of opposition leader Maria Machado. She won an election, but Maduro refused to leave the office. Instead, she had to be smuggled out of the country for her safety. Think about how extreme that is. A democratic process happens, the people choose a leader, and that leader has to escape through back channels because the dictator won't give up power. That tells you everything you need to know about what Venezuela has turned into under Maduro. With that kind of situation on the ground, it makes sense why the US military has stepped up in the area. The report talks about American F-18 jets buzzing over the Gulf of Venezuela and F-35s being moved into the Caribbean. When you see that kind of deployment, it's not symbolic. It's meant to send a message. The US wants to show Maduro that Washington is watching closely and that they are ready to respond if things go too far. But there's another major part of this story: drugs. The Trump administration says there's cracking down on illegal trafficking coming out of Venezuela. The segment claims Maduro is not just allowing drug cartels and guerrilla fighters to operate inside his territory, but actually working with them. If that's true, it would mean the Venezuelan government is basically becoming a safe zone for some of the world's most dangerous criminal group. That's not something any country, especially the US, is going to tolerate quietly. One of the financial side, it's clear the US strategy is to tighten the nose. Maduro relies heavily on illegal oil sales to keep his regime running. If those shipments get blocked, seized, or disrupted, it hits him right where it hurts most: the money pipeline. That's why ghost tankers are such a big part of the conversation. These are ships that move around trying to hide where they came from, who owns them, or what they are carrying. The US cracking down on them not only hurts Maduro but also stops Iran and other players from using the same backdoor channels. And then there's the bigger picture: China and Russia. The segment mentions that China is one of the biggest buyers of Venezuelan oil, even though it's sanctioned. So, when the US interrupts a tanker, it's not just about Venezuela, it's also about cutting off China's influence and slowing down Russia and Iran's presence in the Western Hemisphere. This region is historically the US backyard, strategically speaking, and Washington is clearly trying to ensure no other power gains too much leverage there. Of course, like with any major move, you get criticism. The segment brings up lawmakers like Maxine Waters, who says the administration is acting too aggressively, even claiming they are destroying boards without evidence or operating without Congress. In politics, even strong action is going to spark debate. Some people believe the US should be tougher on dictators. Others think too much force can create unnecessary conflict. And the segment definitely pushes the idea that Democrats are siding with the wrong groups, cartels, dictators, and even China and Iran by questioning the administration's decisions. But whether you agree with Waiters' framing or not. The core issue remains the same. Venezuela is unstable, Maduro is holding on to power through force and illegal networks, and the US is stepping in to stop what it sees as a dangerous mix of drugs, foreign influence, and anti democratic behavior. And whenever military assets, oil shipments, and international threats come together, the situation becomes extremely complicated. The reaction from Maduro was emotional, loud, and extreme. But the response from the US was calculated and strategic. And that contrast shows you how is trying to shift the power dynamics and who is trying to hold on to power by any means necessary. At the end of the day, this entire clash isn't just about one tanker or one threat. It's about the future of the region, the safety of the US, and the balance of influence between America and rival powers. And right now, anything is pointing towards a long, tense standoff where every move matters and every mistake could escalate into something much bigger. And that's why this story matters so much because what happens next could reshape the entire region. And if Maduro thinks threats are going to scare America, he is about to learn that the US don't back down. Thanks for watching my video. I will see you in the next video.